The culture is absolutely...
The gut ain't run the damn Calling both games.
Kansas City is in a tricky spot. They are still elite, but the hounds of war, age, and rival suitors conspire to rip apart at the very fabric of their franchise. Playing with Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the appeal it had when he takes up a shit ton of their cap. They'll try, by God, they'll try. Justin Reed, fresh from Houston exile, brought in to replace the Honey Badger. Ronald Jones hired to hopefully not be ripped to shreds by the head coach. Things were quiet, but danger was bubbling underneath. And its name was Tyreek Hill. He's seen what his peers are getting on the market. He sees his chance to flex his power and demand whatever he wants. And what does he want? Out of Kansas City. You have to consider that the Chiefs offered Tyreek more money than he could have gotten elsewhere, yet he desired the sunny beaches of Miami instead. What a pity. Now they must tolerate the poor souls to replace them. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. If anything, their TikTok game is going to go 11-6 at minimum.
The Kansas City Chiefs select Trent McDuffie, defensive back, Washington.
Chiefs need an immediate replacement for the departing Travarius Ward. This trade-up and pick is hopefully the answer to those woes. To be fair, they had more than enough holes to fill with the departure of Tyreek Hill, but with McDuffie falling this far, they'd be foolish to pass on him. The desire for secondary help is immediate. As he's in that second tier of cornerback besides Gardner and Stingley, Kansas City had no choice here. The AFC West is in high demand for elite corners.
The Kansas City Chiefs select George Karlaftis.
Wow.
Defensive end, Purdue.
Kansas City needed a counterpart to Frank Clark on the edge. And while Karlaftis isn't the sexiest edge prospect out there, he's able to get to the quarterback, which is one of the most critical skills of the modern NFL. The Boilermaker will be expected to make an immediate impact. The AFC West has become a bloodbath, and the Chiefs need to maintain superiority. Good luck, George. The king always has to deal with rivals threatening his reign. The Chiefs have been at the top of the AFC West for what seems like an age in football years. We remember when they overthrew the past lord of the division in the Broncos. But now they get to experience what Denver did. They are the ones that might be withering. They are the ones being threatened by those eager to take the crown. They are the ones losing talents left and right. Tyreek Hill was a game changer for their offense, and now he's gone. Now MVS and Juju are quality receivers, but nowhere near Tyreek. There's also the Orlando Brown Jr. situation. He wants paid, but Kansas City doesn't have the cap space to meet his demands. The situation will be critical soon. With Mahomes, they should still be competitive, but with questions at a lot of positions, not to mention wondering if the defense can maintain form with that drastically altered secondary, it's not as secure as it once was. Now watch me be wrong and they get the number 1 seed in the AFC. The AFC, just like last season, is going to be a bloodbath. You can make the argument for nearly every team to be able to reach the promised land of the playoffs. And as a fan of the game, you can't ask for much more. The AFC East is pretty cut and dry, though. Buffalo will be taking that division with ease. The AFC North will go to Baltimore. Considering that they're finally healthy and able to field a respectable team should do wonders for them. To me, the AFC South is a coin flip between Indy and Tennessee. And I'm going to err on the side of the Titans for the time being. It's very close, though, just like the AFC West. Every team has a shot at winning the division. And for my sake, I'm going to go bold and pick the Broncos. I know, insane, but they actually have a QB and hopefully non-shitty play calling. That's all they needed. And as for the wildcards, it's a tough call, but I'm going to go with Kansas City, the Chargers, and the Bengals. I personally can't wait to see how wrong I am in these predictions, as always. Maybe they'll be as slow to develop as my vid schedule. Panic time in Arizona. To be fair, I didn't expect them to win against Kansas City, even with them losing Tyreek Hill. However, I figured they'd put up a lot more of a fight. And they're looking worse than the team giving Kyler that film study clause, getting blown the fuck out in their own stadium, when most of those fans seem to be cheering for the Chiefs. This is deeply concerning. The Cardinals aren't supposed to be imploding until at least week 11. With their schedule to start the year, it might get rough and quickly. Especially if they keep performing like this. The defense gave no resistance to Patrick Mahomes whatsoever. As for Kyler, he performed well in garbage time, but NBA 2K23 just came out. He needs to invest time in his online My Career profile. Witness the future of football. A land where it streams as smoothly as the morning piss. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. The television is becoming antiquated, baby. The future is online, but some things still remain the same. That being the goddamn Chargers failing to capitalize on a chance to usurp control of the division. They'll have every opportunity to do so. A 10-plus point lead, interception chances by the score that they somehow get Butterfingers on. To be fair, this pick was undone by a pretty shit penalty, but you can't expect the refs to help here. San Diego's scorned son is strong on defense, but they can't hold off Mahomes and company for long. They have enough talent to tie this game up again with a fantastic play or two. One led by Justin Herbert. He's a beast that makes me eat shit every day with his rocket arm. They're going to go all the way to the 1-yard line and regain the lead.
Again, quick tempo, and picked off at the 1-yard line. That is Watson out in front. Snead to protect him as well. All the way for the touchdown.
Vintage fucking Chargers. This is why I never have any hope for them to break out of their curse. Because when they have the chance to, they hurt themselves in confusion. This also happened, literally, with Justin Herbert. Dude's ribs are fucked because his line is destroyed and he's still throwing darts. He has my respect. Not enough to uncharger this team, but a valiant effort regardless. Please free him from this hell. Indianapolis, like Tennessee before them, is also in must-win territory. Their problem? They have to face off against Kansas City. They've destroyed their opponents so far. And the Colts look like roadkill. Without Shaq Leonard on their defense, their destruction is all but assured. On paper. This is why you have to play the games. Because if you don't, we can't witness the Chiefs' offense outright self-destruct when it comes to perform. Everything has been done to keep nudging Indy to do something against them. This is what happens when a team gets bored. They pile on amplifiers to the difficulty until it becomes impossible to win. Do you remember when everyone wondered why Eric Bieniemy hadn't gotten a head coaching job? We might know why now. He's adversarial with his talent. He overthinks situations just like Andy Reid. Reid knows all about choking at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is why we get utter failure in the red zone. Then drool on the play sheet by faking a field goal to totally fuck up the conversion. It's not all that terrible. Harrison Butker's out, so they would have missed the kick from there like they did the next time. The Colts have a chance to do the unthinkable. But Matt Ryan is sacked on 3rd down. The refs then take center stage. Unsportsmanlike conduct on Chris Jones. Talking smack after the play. Ridiculously soft-ass bullshit, but it gives Indy life. And they will march down the field, whittling down the clock to potentially save their day and their season all in one.
Here he goes from the 20, he throws it to the end zone! The Colts have taken the lead!
Redemption. Indianapolis overcomes certain failure with a shit ton of help from the opposition. I thought you were clean, Andy. Why did you regress to full read after all this time? Are you just doing it for your sick kicks? God damn it, I was gonna give you the most delicious cheeseburger after this win. Now you get nothing.
Say the line, Bart.
You blew it! This past week, a devastating storm hurled itself at Tampa Bay. It did not care for possessions, property, or life itself. It showed no mercy to anything in its path, as its destruction was widespread and relentless. I'm, of course, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. There was also a pesky hurricane that went through the Tampa area as well, but Raymond James Stadium hadn't collapsed in on itself, so the game won't be moved elsewhere. It wouldn't have mattered. Kansas City is surging through their opponent regardless. Not just with that embarrassing loss last week, but think back to a certain Super Bowl in 2021. Remember how they got punched in the mouth all game? It's payback time, motherfuckers. The Chiefs took them out back and beat them with a crowbar. They bludgeoned them to a bloody pulp. Tampa Bay didn't even try to run most of the game. Tom Brady slung the rock with ease, it doesn't matter. That Bucs defense that destroyed their opposition? Not happening today. Kansas City needs to maintain superiority. In this scenario, I'd say that task was completed. NFL will continue until morale improves. That is what the Shield told us with this game. In what was supposed to be the marquee matchup of the week, the MVP award goes to the officiating crew for dictating the course of play so effectively for 60 consecutive minutes. Monday Night Football starts out fine enough. The Raiders are out to an early lead as Kansas City has trouble starting the ignition. They're up by 17, but give it enough time, they'll be alright. It's looking that way in the second quarter. The Chiefs' engine is purring like a kitten. Touchdowns are starting to be scored. Even the defense is coming in clutch with a strip sack for a huge fumble recovery. Oh, wait a second, Chris. You put too much body weight on the quarterback and failed to read him a bedtime story during the sack. That's roughing the passer. What a bunch of horse dung. What do you want Chris Jones to do in that situation? Just hug him and give him a kiss on the forehead? I know they're grossly overreacting to the Tua situation that wasn't their own damn fault, but if you're going this route, just have them play without pads on. The Chiefs fans know it too, as they now demand blood. Yet it's still a manageable game. It's here where the ref ball goes into overdrive. The officials realize that if Kansas City loses, they probably aren't getting out of there alive. The bullshit calls were going Las Vegas's way in the first half, they'll go Kansas City's way in the second half. Stuff that wasn't being called on the Raiders earlier is now getting a healthy dose of yellow flags. Such an impact performance that even Mahomes looks on in awe. But it may not be enough. The game is very close in the fourth quarter. Vegas has kicked a field goal to go down by 1. Mahomes and company do their best to make things happen, but it's not enough. They'll have to settle for a field goal.
Here I come to save the day.
And there's the ultimate makeup call the refs were waiting for. Defensive holding on a field goal? You almost never call that. So not only is it an automatic first down, Kansas City scores a touchdown to take the lead. Las Vegas is livid, but then we remember why they brought in Davante Adams in the offseason. An outstanding play deserves outstanding idiocy to follow. Josh McDaniels decides to go for 2 and calls an RPO. Why? It's okay to kick an extra point in this situation, Josh. He's now forcing his defense to make a critical stop due to his mistake. Fortunately, they do, but that's because the league's scriptwriters demand yet another nail-biting finish. I smell some more rigging on the horizon, but first this amazing catch by Davante. Oh, wait a second. He didn't fully possess the ball before both feet were down in bounds. Incomplete pass. This seems like bullshit because of everything else, but it isn't. Or is it?
Carr, receiver falls down.
Alright, refs, I'm waiting on the flag. Really? No flag? Receivers just ran into each other? That is definitely a Raiders way to lose a game. Well, the officials may suffer a few broken bones in the parking lot, but they'll live. This game was terrible. An absolute disgrace to football. Not for the players on the field, but for a pathetic hack job by Zebras nudging the game in a million directions. The only thing I'll give them credit for was that they were equal opportunity. Instead of having one fan base feel like they were screwed, have both of them feel that way. Everyone loses in this scenario. Except for Vegas. Not the Raiders, the casinos. Kansas City failed to cover, so they were raking in that dough tonight. I bet the NFL gets a cut of that action too. We'll get even more of it as Davante channeled Raiders fans and shoved a cameraman leaving the field. None of it going to the cameraman, of course. We all remember what happened against these teams in January. One of the greatest games the NFL has ever seen. A battle between gods. This rematch did not disappoint. It was a duel that exemplified the best the league has to offer. More of a defensive-oriented game, but one with both showcasing quality football. The claimants to the AFC throne fighting to reclaim the title. Buffalo seeking vengeance for 13 seconds, 2 plays, and the bad fortune of a flipped coin. Things are so casual that Harrison Butker is breaking his team's record for longest field goal and nobody bats an eyelash. It's a contest where every mistake is amplified. Since there aren't too many of those to even go around, slowly the clock ticks away. Slowly both teams will take shots at their opponent. A heavyweight bout where billions of dollars in damages are done by collateral. It's a proving ground for Buffalo. Down by 3 with 5 minutes left, they will need a drive to overcome the elements of Arrowhead. Every yard precious in the no man's land of war. But time continues to whittle away. And Josh Allen needs to needle a strike.
Here comes Allen. Looking long. Throws to the end zone. And the ball is caught!
Buffalo has secured the lead, but they're not out of the woods yet. They know all too well that Kansas City bullshit is very real.
1st and 10. Mahomes intercepted! And that's Taron Johnson with the theft!
The Bills are granted vengeance. Their temporary place on the throne of the AFC is secure. Any challengers must go through them and them alone. Rest, Buffalo. You have more than earned this win. But do not become complacent. The NFL world is a very cutthroat place. The Niners have their newest weapon ready for deployment. Christian McCaffrey may not be at full strength, but he will be a worthy asset to resist the invading Chiefs' forces. Now, only if they weren't an overpowering foe. Sadly for San Fran, Kansas City brought out the heavy weapons. And it's not in peace either. Consider this a harsh lesson, Niners. If you want to be the best, you must play like the best. It's a simple equation. The Chiefs were the far superior team in many facets today. If you want to win, you need to get pressure on Mahomes. He was able to take out a lawn chair and relax with how much time he had to throw. You can't get into gunfights against Kansas City with Jimmy Jesus. He's a game manager, not a gunslinger. You ain't Buffalo, kids. They lasted for about 3 quarters before the killing blows were thrown. Too early to panic if you're San Fran. A lot of quality teams lose to the Chiefs. The next few weeks will be the true test. Well, Tennessee, this game went to hell quickly. Not even about your rapid-fire opponent. Ryan Tannehill's out for this affair as well. You're once again going to be stuck starting a Malik Willis so raw the cow's still mooing. However, something fascinating happened. The Titans reached for their big boy pants and fought with everything they had. Derrick Henry is still king of the gridiron. His blistering runs will help the Titans secure a surprising lead off the bat. Tennessee's defense will do the rest. They'll buckle up and shut down the Chiefs' offense. Or was it just Kansas City trying to be too damn cute and flubbing the basic principles of passing and offense? Either way, it's a valiant effort all around. It's one of those games where you sit and wonder, how the fuck is Tennessee winning? Here's where the magic stops. You know what else Tennessee is good at this year? Refusing to finish off their opponents when they have them down for the count. Kansas City has an insanely one-dimensional offense. Patrick Mahomes threw 68 goddamn times. And it still took a Herculean effort for him to sniff the end zone. Hooray for improvisation? Not that it matters. The Zebras do some nudging on the 2-point conversion. This is defensive holding? Looks like Kelsey is wrestling with the dude. Good work, refs. You helped them convert for the tie. It's here where we all knew Kansas City was winning. Malik Willis can't throw at this level. He's too damn raw. It would take overtime and the Chiefs still had to rip the win out of Iron Jaws, but it was a win, I guess. What a waste of that valiant defensive effort. Put Malik Willis back in the oven. He's nowhere near ready yet. To beat Kansas City, a few things need to happen. Need to take advantage of any opening they have, and the Chiefs need to play a suboptimal game. Unfortunately for Jacksonville, neither really happened. It just goes to show you how far the Jags still have to go before they're anything close to a playoff contender. Duval can huff and puff and ballyhoo all they want, but before long they're down 20-0 before the end of the first half. The game's done by that point. KC's too methodical and efficient to blow this kind of contest to the likes of Jacksonville. They must suffer through the might of every offensive weapon they have in a grueling loss. Almost 500 yards of it in their sleep. Sorry boys, this is a different Chiefs team. One that can mold themselves into any style they need to win. Try again next time. Hopefully with a more complete roster. And maybe an executive branch that isn't inept. This has become a must-win affair for the Bulls. Not just for potential playoff aspirations, but for team reputation. They have to maintain pace with Kansas City to be seen as a respected unit in the NFL. It doesn't matter how battered the mistake in LA is, they must keep appearances. For whatever reason, most games between the Chargers and Chiefs as of late play out the same. It turns into an offensive duel where formerly San Diego flashes their offensive potential. As everyone questions what the fuck KC is doing on defense, then we remember the Chargers have an even worse outfit on defense to counter. Their offense can flash their might all they want. They can even have a lead at halftime, but we can all feel reality slowly creep in. Like in LA itself, the Chargers are the inferior team. They can't do a damn thing to start out the second half, merely allowing Kansas City to showcase their cheap parlor tricks on offense everyone keeps getting fooled by. They'll take the lead. And as the Chargers make a valiant effort to advance, they fumble because they're being punished for the hubris of Spanos. However, the gods are cruel. They'll force a fumble on the Chiefs' side to keep things interesting. I'm honestly more stunned that Lombardi's allowing Justin Herbert to throw deep for once. But there's one problem.
Herbert looking, throwing, end zone, touchdown, Homer!
They gave Mahomes too much time. Way too much time. With how awful this defense is, they cut through them like butter. It's not even surprising at this point. Just play the touchdown.
Coming across to the left, on the run, Kelsey, touchdown!
Cue the screaming sound effect. Whenever they get the chance, the Chargers will inflict pain on whatever fan base is left. Justin Herbert will be blamed for not being clutch enough, but completely ignore how awful their defense has been all season long. Do you want Herbert to line up as a defensive tackle or something? It's the only way things may possibly change. You thought the Rams were bad before? Just wait until Matthew Stafford's out of the picture. He was struggling, yet somehow the options after him are even worse in this offense. This week forces Bryce Perkins out of the burn ward to be chucked into the fire again. Kansas City can merely use this week to try out new formations and play schemes. With how destroyed LA is on offense, you'd think that they sold their souls along with their draft picks to win that ring last year. In the least surprising news possible, the Chiefs win in very convincing fashion. This is in spite of bringing their C game to the office. It's what tends to happen when the Rams' house is made from a deck of cards. Even Sean McVay's getting injured by proxy. Something tells me he's not having the time of his life. Kansas City will take it for their #1 seed aspirations. Witness the revenge match for the AFC Championship game, where spectacular duels commence and challenges for conference supremacy are at stake. Cincy needs to keep pace with the Ravens, who somehow keep winning despite their offensive stagnation. Kansas City just wishes to secure the glories of the #1 seed. It's going to be tough considering they're up against the team that bested them in the playoffs last year. Let's hope they don't get cocky this time around. Since he's out to an early 2-score lead, but the Chiefs will show resolve. They'll stuff the Bengals on a critical 4th down near their goal line. They'll stiffen up on offense to unleash their full power. It's no question that Kansas City was going to take the lead. It was when it would happen. The Bengals do kick a field goal, but the path is set. With control in the 4th, all they need to do is continue to push. Suffocate their opponents down to their last breath.
Here's Mahomes hit when he threw it. It's Kelsey. Pratt's trying to hold on to him, needs some help. Ball came out, and Pratt has it.
The grasp of the game is stripped from their hands like it was from Kelsey? Travis Kelsey's fucking up now? There really is a first for everything. We know how Joe Burrow reacts to this news. An efficient, timely drive. It's about as automatic as the Chiefs are.
Backpedaling, man wide open at the 5, and that's a touchdown for Chris Evans.
Cincy keeps goddamn doing it against Kansas City. They take the lead by 3, but you can't sleep on the Chiefs. Fortunately, the Bengals don't. Their defense stuffs them on a critical 3rd down and forces them to rely on the leg of Harrison Butker.
Gotta hook it, gotta hook.
That's also something that tends not to happen with regularity. Now Cincy can win if they can burn the clock. They've managed to get 1 first down, but they need another on a 3rd and 11.
Pressure, pass. Oh, that's gonna do it.
I don't know what's causing it. Maybe it's something in the water. Maybe it's the will of the gods themselves, but the Bengals have repeatedly owned the Chiefs over the past year and change. This is their 3rd straight win against them in a critical situation. Zach Taylor can't game plan his way out of a paper bag some weeks, yet consistently beats Andy Reid. You figured that one out. Broncos country became a bastardized shell of itself by week 1. The rest of the time has merely been watched by sick fucks to see how far they can fall. It's been a damn long one. Good news for all the masochists out there, Denver is getting completely destroyed by the kings of the division. Their cheap parlor tricks bamboozle the most simple-minded of folk. And in the blink of an eye, it's 27-0 with what should be the end of this game. And me making traditional snide remarks about the Broncos riding the electric chair. However, in the most frustrating experience this side of watching Season 8 of Game of Thrones, Denver finally manages to do things on offense that don't involve shitting themselves. Oh, now the offense shows a pulse. Now Russell Wilson plays as advertised. Now you put up more than 20 points in a fucking game. What the hell was this at any point throughout the season? Even the gods are livid at this sudden surge of competence. You've turned this into a one-score game, have you? Well, too bad. No matter what you do, you cannot win. Denver must pay the blood toll for this travesty. Russell Wilson, KO'd after a hit on the ground. Suffered enough of a lump on his head that you can call it a bathroom in his mansion. With Brett Rippon, there is no chance. A back-breaking interception all but ends the game, despite Denver's hastily put-together comeback. Even in what could be the best they played all year, it still ends in agony. Broncos country, let's die. The playoff push is reaching its final stages. Only one spot has been clinched by Philadelphia, but 4 weeks remain. In the AFC, it's wide open. Buffalo currently has number 1 seed, but Kansas City is close behind, if only because of a head-to-head loss with the Bills. Baltimore currently has the AFC North lead in the 3rd spot, and Tennessee has a loosening grip of the caboose division in the AFC South. Wildcards are currently held by Cincinnati, Miami, and the Patriots. But the Chargers and Jets are tied with New England at 7 and 6. A few other teams are 5 and 8, but they're long shots at this point. The picture will become clearer as time goes on. And as we all know, there's only one rule to follow.
Don't get eliminated!
For today's inexplicably close game that's seemingly manufactured to drum up fan interest, may I present to you the Houston Texans. In all models and odds lines, this team should have been obliterated just by lining up for the opening kickoff. However, the scriptwriters felt like toying with us all. That or they had money on the Texans to prevent the cover. Despite being significantly more talented in all aspects, Kansas City just can't escape playing down to competition. Is it even safe to call it that? Their defense has turned into hot puke against some of the worst offenses in football as of late. As for their offense, they just keep making miscues. How the hell is this even close? The Chiefs have far more than doubled their opponent in terms of offensive yardage. Yet it stays close because fuck-ups keep happening. The fact that Houston had a lead deep into the 3rd quarter should automatically be considered a loss. The fact that it's tied in the goddamn 4th, even worse so. Harrison Buckner had a chance to end the madness, but he pushed it right. We are somehow going to overtime. How? Literally how? Houston has the ball with a chance to end it, but then they remembered something.
Blocked by Ogunbowale, and here's Laroni, fumbled the ball! It's loose! It's loose at the 27.
I think they got it back.
Like the Texans have jumped on the ball.
They are the tank of tanks. Helping Kansas City win is just part of the job. A cynical transaction indeed. Both teams accomplished their goals, and Vegas makes a shitload of money because the Chiefs didn't cover. All we get is an empty-calorie game and Kansas City securing the AFC West. Now get out of my sight. We've had quite a lot of teams reach playoff land this week, didn't we? It doesn't mean we're anywhere close to settling how things will shake out. The AFC has many spots open to claim. Only Buffalo and Kansas City have clinched, and the Bills still have number 1 seed. Cincinnati overtakes Baltimore for the AFC North lead, as Ravens fans wonder why they keep squandering chances. Tennessee is far past that point. They've lost 4 straight and are in an existential state of dread. And for good reason. Baltimore has sole possession of the first wildcard spot with 9 wins, but it's probably a disappointment to them. Same as Miami, who falls behind the Chargers for the second wildcard spot thanks to losing their matchup with them earlier in the year. The Jets and Patriots, both with back-breaking losses, are the first teams out with 7 wins. They should be careful. There are a ton of teams with 6 wins, including Jacksonville, who's only a game back of their division lead. This is gonna be quite fucky, isn't it? Everyone left, you know what to say.
Don't get eliminated!
Remember how I said the clock may have been striking midnight on the Seahawks last week? That carriage has been trampled over by Prince Charming's men repeatedly by now. We all wondered how the fuck Seattle was doing this without Russell Wilson. Turns out it may have been a mirage. It's been a relentless drop into the abyss over the past month and change. They offered next to no resistance against the Chiefs. Their offense just couldn't get anything going. Trying to bribe with tasty treats wasn't enough to get this tired old bird to move. A 2 for 14 conversion rate on third down usually doesn't lead to success. Their defense tried to hold a powerful Chiefs offense, but Kansas City didn't have to do all that much, to be honest. Andy Reid will eat cheeseburgers on their opponent's corpse. With how mortal Geno Smith looks in a unit that's running out of gas, they were doomed from the start. The only hopes for Seattle at this point are Denver's draft picks and that their schedule is against two teams that are about as deflated as they are. If they fail here, it's just another bitter pill to swallow after years of such. Detroit can now pounce. With a few big losses this week, the NFL playoff picture has become a mosh pit, as has been written for time eternal. The AFC North is still neck and neck between Baltimore and Cincinnati. Guess who plays each other in Week 18? That contest will more than likely be for the division title. In the AFC South, same scenario. Tennessee has fallen apart so badly that Jacksonville now holds the division lead. No matter what happens next week, their matchup is guaranteed to be for the right to advance as division leader. There are no changes in the first 4 seeds, but Buffalo can clinch number 1 seed if a few things go their way next week. In the wildcards, we know either Baltimore or Cincy will get one, and the Chargers just clinched another. But with Miami in freefall, the 7th seed is now murky. The Jets and Patriots, despite being awful as of late, still have a fighting chance. The Titans and Jags can still technically be wildcards, but their best shot of making it is winning their division. Pittsburgh and Las Vegas are clinging on for dear life, and will need many miracles to make it.
Don't get eliminated!
There are many examples of domination in the fictional world. The Washington Generals dying at the hands of the Harlem Globetrotters, Sonic the Hedgehog always besting Eggman, and as of late the Denver Broncos becoming the bitch of the Kansas City Chiefs no matter what they try to do. It's strange because whenever he faces the KC defense, Russell Wilson magically transforms back into Seattle form. Unfortunately, the script writers have favored Kansas City due to Week 18 plot lines. Denver has pissed them away countlessly, so Patrick Mahomes will dominate like he usually does to guide the Chiefs to victory. The Broncos will keep it tight, and even take the lead in more than a few instances in the game. But it just reiterates why Denver's in a mile-high pile of shit this year. They can't seal the deal against anyone, especially the Chiefs. When they hoped to finally one-up them, they failed in their 15th straight contest against their arrow-headed betters. Tough shit, you have to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous laughter from the NFL world. I'd feel bad, but that goodwill ended long, long ago. Thanks to the no contest ruling, there will be a few wrinkles. If the Bills and Chiefs make it to the AFC Championship game, it will be played on a neutral site. This will occur if both the Bills and Chiefs win or tie, or they both lose and the Ravens win or tie. If the Chiefs and Bengals reach the AFC Championship and the Bengals win in Week 18, it will be played on a neutral site. As for the AFC North title, if the Bengals lose to the Ravens, home field advantage will be decided by a coin toss. The premise for both is simple. Win and in, loser goes home. They put the game on Saturday night, though. Strange. As for the 7th seed in the AFC, some form of cannon fodder will secure it. New England controls their own destiny with a win and in scenario. Miami needs New England to lose and them to win to escape humiliation. The Steelers are still alive. They can somehow bullshit their way to it with a win and New England and Miami losing. Somehow. Fucking ridiculous.
Don't get eliminated!
Jeff Saturday said it best a few months ago. The Raiders look horrible. There would be no Jarrett Stidham magic. The only trickery will be the backdoor shenanigans Kansas City's known for. Think that disappearing penny trick repeated for 60 minutes. Literally zero fucks or respect given to their opponent. With how badly the Silver and Black are playing, it's justified. A win as easy as a man horn. To no one's surprise, KC claims number 1 seed in the AFC, and await Buffalo's home game to see if they'll have permanent home field for the playoffs. As Chiefs fans dominate the black hole like they're the new Village people, Mark Davis sits steaming at how it keeps happening. You moved to Las Vegas, one of the biggest tourist destinations in America. What did you expect, a red carpet and a blowy in your owner's box? But skinning the Patriots alive is gonna fix everything. You deserve this bullshit. And there you have one of the sloppiest NFL seasons we've seen in a long time. Depending on how you view things, it's either thanks to a revival of defense or incredibly terrible offense. I'm on the side of the latter, but when you see a collapse of anything resembling discipline and technique, it tends to be like that. But as the playoffs await, it's time to get sappy and sentimental. I consider Sportsball as a project of sorts, and it feels weird when it's over. I want to thank you for joining me for another year of this madness, and I wish you all nothing but the best. It's been 6 seasons since I started this series, and I somehow haven't lost my damn mind yet. Perhaps these playoffs will do the trick. I'll see you all for the Haters Guide. Methinks that Kansas City's demise may have been exaggerated. Without Tyreek Hill, we thought they'd take a step back. Chiefs would be good, but nothing spectacular. Mahomes can only do so much. However, we failed to remember. They only need 13 seconds to turn a dire situation around. I know overplay, but KC's supposed decline and fall were used as fuel for their engines. With that offense and new blood being infused into this machine, they're still one of the elite teams in the league. These are the standard Chiefs. Plenty of high-flying shootouts. Mostly because the team's secondary is still insanely suspect and curls up into a ball at the first sign of resistance. In that case, they'll whip out the magic tricks. All they need are some cheap ones you'd see on a street corner. Try to find the missing card, and before you know it, your life savings is gone. Probably thanks to their offense. It will satiate Andy Reid in securing the finest cheeseburger known to man. And it'll be delicious. The only way you can stop it is by bringing nuclear missiles to a gunfight. These playoffs have played out as I've expected. A handful of good teams surrounded by shit. 2 of the best have made it here, and the AFC is being represented by a common one. Time is a circle. No matter what everyone fancies about the league and its teams, the same outcomes tend to occur over and over again. We may speak of the rivals ready to take the Chiefs off their pedestal, the Chargers and their talented offense, the Broncos bringing in Russell Wilson in a huge move, the Raiders managing to exist, not to mention Buffalo and their revenge tour were gearing up to finally exhume their demons. Kansas City was getting cocky. Their haughtiness cost them the last few seasons. The Super Bowl against Tampa Bay where they were crushed by hydraulic press. Don't forget last year where they went out to a sizable lead against the Bengals only to be one-upped. The King was seemingly on his last breath. Facing a deep cap crunch, losing one of their best offensive weapons in Tyreek Hill via trade. You'd think the age of the Chiefs would be over, right? Not really. When you aim for the King, you best not miss. While inherently flawed, there are still weapons out the wazoo. And with Patrick Mahomes under center, they will always have a chance at greatness. Even on one leg, he will make magic happen. All the while, every broadcaster takes turns filleting him during games. There is some justification to it. He's the new face of football, you could argue. A man who enjoys ketchup on steak and driving a stake through the heart of his enemies. This includes Cincinnati. Oh, what a brutal sight that was to witness. The weapons that flank him are newer faces, but still threats nonetheless. There is a number 10 similar to Tyreek, but don't be fooled. That's merely Isaiah Pacheco, who's blossomed into a playmaker in his own right. Not bad for a 7th-round rookie. Jerick McKinnon is still kicking as a specialist in the backfield, and staying healthy as well. At wideout, it's a changed group. McCole Hardman's still here, but there's no real headliner of the bunch. Weapons aplenty, however. The main ones being offseason pickups in Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Not to mention Kadarius Toney, whenever he's healthy. They're allowed to be free because another main piece is still around. Travis Kelce. Wherever he is, you must be wary. He will punish defenses no matter what they do. Opposing fans throughout the world will scream why nobody's covering Kelce. Well, that's because he's like Teflon. Nothing sticks. Not to mention that strong offensive line led by Creed Humphrey and Orlando Brown. It's a deadly weapon all its own. And they're not down to backup tackles this time around. Their defensive line is the catalyst for all hope on that end. Frank Clark and Chris Jones are the cornerstones of it. Jones has been a beast, but Clark has been disappointing this season. George Karlaftis and Carlos Dunlap are other formidable weapons on this front. All teams have a weakness, however, and this one's flaws in pass protection. It's one of the worst in the league. And despite all that Willie Gay and Nick Bolton do, it can't hide the fact that their secondary is young and inexperienced. They lost Javarius Ward and the Honey Badger in free agency last offseason, and L'Jarius Sneed suffered injury in the game against Cincy. So if he's not healthy, they'll have to rely on Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed, and Juan Thornhill to man the fort. Not exactly striking the most fear into defenses. You shouldn't scoff at them, however. Kansas City is in a position where it does its best. Hungry. Looking to upend those that doubt them. We made that mistake earlier, and we've suffered the consequences for it. The Chiefs will be going to their third Super Bowl in 4 years. As that happens, Andy Reid eats the doubters of this team in the form of a delicious cheeseburger. This will be his 4th trip to the big game, and perhaps his 2nd ring in the process. To get that, however, he'll have to go up against a foe he knows very, very well. This is one of the few times where we will willingly go back to 2020. It was a year of hell, especially for the Eagles. To the glory of every division rival in the NFC East, Philly was terrible. Carson Wentz collapsing under the weight of Doug Peterson and his own propensity for hero ball. Years upon years of drafting fuck-ups. A flawed roster with next to no hope on the way. Howie Roseman about to be deservedly roasted on an open fire. Just under 3 years after a Super Bowl win, they were relegated to accusations of tanking in their final game against Washington. After such a disaster, things needed to change. And Peterson was cast into the abyss for both losing the plot and losing a power struggle. Things looking mighty bleak for the Eagles, right? A bunch of baffling moves would usually signal the doom of all involved. However, Philly chose to unleash their deadliest weapon, a conversion to Satanism. Delving into the dark arts, Roseman found ways to take a terrible situation and save it from falling into a precipice. I would advise against making draft day trades with him. They tend to usually work out in Philly's favor. The quarterback he's found his prize. Many questioned him drafting Jalen Hurts. He was cast off from Alabama. You have Carson Wentz. His upside at the NFL level is rather limited. That was until this year. In 2022, he burst from the doldrums to become one of the upper-tier QBs in the league. A weapon with a surprisingly accurate and potent arm. A man blessed with maneuverability and finesse in his feet. A true dual-threat option. And oh, the weapons he has to choose from. Try running back, where he not only has Miles Sanders, but the spiritual successor to Darren Sproles in Boston Scott, and a third formidable option in Kenneth Gainwell. Try tight end, where Dallas Goedert has taken the reins from a traded Zach Ertz to become an ever-important safety valve for Hurts. But wide receiver, that's where they really shine. Philly finally hit on a drafted wideout. I know, it's stunning. Jalen Reagor and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside busted so Devontae Smith could fly. And catch incredible passes. And become one of the best wide receivers in the game. He doesn't get enough attention. You know why? Go back to draft time. Jacksonville breaking the bank for Christian Kirk opened up an opportunity. A legitimate headliner was ripe for the taking. And Philly refused to look a gift horse in the mouth. A.J. Brown, it's time for you and your wallet to shine like gangbusters. The man that helps Philly's offense become a dynamo. I have to give credit to that offensive line as well. One of the best units in the game, bar none. Even with an injured Lane Johnson at right tackle. By the way, has anyone mentioned that Jason Kelce is Travis Kelce's brother yet? Are you tired of hearing about it? Good, because here's at least 50 more statements as such. Here are 100 statements on how loaded their defensive line and edge rushers are. 4 men with at least 10 sacks. Freshly paid Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrave, longtime vet Brendan Graham. Fletcher Cox is still kicking ass as a 3-tech. Not to mention they just drafted an absolute beast in Jordan Davis when he's healthy. They've loaded up with vets in an all-in push. Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, Robert Quinn. Quinn's barely played. It's a threat all its own. At linebacker, TJ Edwards and Chargers refugee Kaiser White man the fort, but in the secondary, it's another all-in push. Over the past few years, trades and acquisitions for the likes of Big Play Slay, James Bradbury, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Not to mention homegrown talents like Avonte Maddox and Marcus Epps. Thanks for Epps, Minnesota. Philly is no longer the Rocky Balboa clone they were the last time they were here. They're a legitimate juggernaut. A team that's crushed nearly everyone that stood in their path. It may have been a ridiculously easy road to get back here, but the road still must be traveled regardless. It's also a chance of revenge against the man that was a symbol for past failures in Andy Reid. Him and Donovan McNabb were enemies of the state for a long time. And while both Reid and the team have experienced success in parting ways, revenge is always desired. So what'll it be moving forward? A Kansas City barbecue or a Philadelphia nightmare? Only one way to find out. Any given Sunday is what everyone says. We've seen it happen over and over throughout the regular season, but these playoffs have been rather predictable. Although I kind of expected it. To me, Kansas City's secondary is just too weak to make a huge difference against Philly's passing attack. Their defensive line must get pressure to have any chance. I don't know if they can here. Cincy's O-line was weakened, but Philly's is still formidable. By that alone, I'm going with the Eagles to win. Is it really a jinx? All I know is that we'll be so tired of the storylines we'll be dying for the game to start. In the lead up to the big game, Roger Goodell stated that the product the NFL puts out has never been better. Your eyes may point to the constant ref ball, terrible team offense, and sloppy play this season and call him a liar. But your mind is lying to you. You may not have noticed it. What you saw in Super Bowl 57 was perfection. Every second of play immaculately sculpted, choreographed, and manufactured to create a game worthy of Kurosawa. Orson Welles stands in awe at how quickly the scriptwriters churned out a masterpiece. They cooked this baby like it's Rihanna's child. This isn't a congrats video for anyone in particular, but this is a tribute to the perfect NFL script. Pomp and circumstance everywhere you look. Endless offense led by two quarterbacks at the top of their game. Pristine football that the NFL so desires out of their product. A perfectly curated field of play where everyone slides and trips as if the surface was caked in ice. Ridiculously long reviews that knock the wind out of the game. Doinked field goals. The greatest blessing of the modern age. Blows being thrown by means of outstanding play all game long. Patrick Mahomes making magic happen on this slippery field. And don't forget the real MVP being his Toradol injection at halftime. And nobody can cover Travis Kelce. At all. Jalen Hurts deciding he needed more of a challenge by fucking the ball. Paying tribute to Pele by kicking it to the opposition for the easiest touchdown one will ever score. Oh, it was a fantastic performance. One that kept us all at the edge of our seats. Defenses could barely make any sort of stop. The Eagles' QB sneak was so OP it will probably be nerfed in the next patch. Everything was going according to plan. A great game of football where it's going to come down to the wire. The audience captivated with every play. It's a good show, but it's missing something. But here's where this game becomes a stroke of genius. An anticlimactic climax. Another great game ruined by ref ball. A ticky-tacky penalty that wasn't called at all until that point. Now that's a way to piss everyone off. It'll help Philly conveniently forget that their defensive front could get no pressure on Mahomes whatsoever. The Chiefs may have won on the stat sheet, but the real winner is the NFL. We're addicted to their product. And they continue to rake in the dough with another masterpiece. And therefore I raise my glass to the perfect NFL script. May Roger Goodell's future bust in Canton be the biggest of them all.
Let me get the big guy in here. Come on, waddle over here.